Thank you, Chairwoman DeGette, and thank you for holding this very, very important hearing. Let me just start by saying, as a mother of 2 sons, I spent the last 30 years trying to keep them from smoking cigarettes. And instead, you've come into our life with nicotine that is highly addictive. So I want to just say, based on the data, that we are on the precipice of minimizing tobacco's hold on our Nathan's use, but confronting alarming rates of youth nicotine use. As a result, e-cigarettes are now the most commonly used tobacco product among youth, surpassing the rate of youth use of conventional cigarettes 5 years ago. In fact, e-cigarette use among youth doubled again from 2017 to 2019, demonstrating that this problem is only getting worse. And in my home state of New Hampshire, the Department of Health and Human Services estimates that at least a quarter of high schoolers are using vaping products, and those numbers are on the rise. Now, Dr. Sue Tansky, who was before this committee recently, a pediatrician from Dartmouth-Hitchcock, has helped us to understand this very issue. Based upon her testimony, sworn under oath, we know that biologically, the brain is more susceptible to nicotine addiction during adolescence. Late adolescence begins around 18, and for most lasts well into the 20s. A brain that is not exposed to psychotropic drugs such as nicotine during adolescence is less likely to develop addiction. My state is in the throes of the worst opioid epidemic in our lifetime that began with misleading marketing and lack of regulatory oversight. And my fear is that we are repeating those same mistakes and making way for a new generation grappling with addiction that we all fought to avoid. So I just want to say 26 years ago, we had tobacco company CEOs sitting in this room testifying before this committee that they did not believe that nicotine in their cigarette products was addictive. 4 years later, the CEOs were forced to admit to the risk of nicotine in another hearing before this committee. Today, schools around the country warn students about the harms of nicotine, particularly on developing brains. Mr. Crothroyd, Juul offers a 5% nicotine content pod, which the company claims releases an amount of nicotine similar to a pack of 20 cigarettes. Some young users report going through a single Juul pod in 3 hours. To try to reduce their nicotine intake, these young people are now turning to combustible cigarettes to reduce their nicotine intake. Are you aware of reports of e-cigarette users so highly addicted to your products that they feel the need to switch back to regular cigarettes? And if so, do these reports concern you?
Congresswoman, I share your concern about the amount of youth getting access to e-vapor. It's unacceptable, and we must work to combat it.
What is it that you're doing about it today?
So since I've joined the company about 4 months ago, we took action to address this issue. So we stopped shipping when I became a CEO in November, our Mint product, which at the time we got the data that youth were getting access to Mint, and that was 70% of our company at that time frame.
70% going to youth for nicotine addiction.
No,
70% of your profits were from this product that youth were using. Is that the number you're trying to explain to us?
No, just to clarify, when we stopped shipping Mint in November, at that time, of all of our sales, that product was 70% of our business.
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, for the American people, 70% of your product was going to youth in our country. And 4 months ago, you stopped that practice?
So in November, when I saw that youth were getting access to Mint flavors and found it appealing, I took it off the market for our company.
What about the other flavors that are currently on the market?
So today we sell tobacco and menthol in the company.
Menthol e-cigarette.
Yes, in the U.S. market.
And do you think that's getting access to youth?
Well, we paid very close attention to the data when we made the decision.
Is there any reason not to take that off the market?
Well, today there are over 10 million Americans who use menthol combustible cigarettes.
How many youth?
When we saw the data, menthol was not one of the leading flavors that youth were getting access to.
How many
The number was
youth?
quite small. I believe, in my recollection is I believe the number was a few percentage points, but I'll have to refer back to the report specifically.
My time is up. I just want you to know mothers and fathers across this country are watching this hearing very carefully. Thank you.